So I wanted to just make a quick video of the ChordPic chord diagram generator because it really is one of my favorite free online tools and I use it quite a bit. So let's say, for example, we wanted to make just a regular D major chord. First thing I do is come to this settings over here and click in the title box, D, and you can see how it appears in the results there, or D major if you want. And there we have our chord name at the top of the chord diagram all ready to go. Then you can see we've got the starting fret is the first fret, and that's fine. You can see the nut is visible there. And the number of frets that the chord diagram is made up of is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's fine. We'll leave that as is for now. Then the number of strings we have is 6, which is fine because we're guitar players. But for example, if you wanted to make something for ukulele, for example, you could just reduce the number of strings to 4, and then you could just do your thing from there. We're going to leave that at 6 strings for now. So the next thing I would do is to scroll down to this editor pane, and anywhere you click on this chord diagram now, it'll just automatically put the dots in for you. So I want a dot there, and I want a dot here, and I want a dot there, and there we have our D major chord shape. The next thing to do is to take care of these noughts up at the top here. We want the D string to be open, so that's fine. I'm going to leave that as it is. And then to turn these into X's, all I'm going to do is click on them, and there we have it. Let's say, for example, that these 2 extra frets are looking a little bit extra, and we want to take them away. We can just come up to number of frets, reduce that to, say, 3, and then we've got a nice compact looking D major chord diagram. The next thing you might want to do is put the fingering for the chord in, and there's 2 ways you can go about doing that. The first way is to use these boxes at the bottom of each string to punch in the fingers that you want people to use. So we're going to say that should be the second finger, that should be the third finger, and that should be the first finger. And there we have the fingering at the bottom of the chord diagram. Another way to do that, I'm just going to take these numbers out, is to use this edit text tab here at the bottom. And you can see when we click that some text boxes open up above the dots. And then I can put the fingering in there if I like. Click on the edit notes again, and that closes it. Now, if you want, you could use this edit text function in a slightly different way. Let's say, for example, we didn't want this to be the fingering, but we rather wanted to show where the root, the third, and the fifth was in the chord. And we could just put an R there. This would be the third of the chord, and this would be the fifth. And we could put the fingering at the bottom if we still wanted to. 2, 3, and 1. If you like, you can make these dots different colors even. We can just click on this Edit Colors tab, and then whenever you click on one of these dots, you can choose a color. Let's say, for example, we want that to be red, and we want that to be blue, and we want this to be orange. Just for argument's sake, we could do that. It adds an extra dimension to the chord diagram if you want to use that. And if you like, you can just edit these dots to be different shapes. So we just click on that Edit Shapes tab. That gives you a square, keep clicking, gives you a triangle, gives you a hexagon. And I haven't really found a use for this, but it is there if you want to use it. So I'm going to just turn these back into dots again, and I'm going to make these black. So let's say we want to do a different chord diagram now, and we want to get rid of this one. What we do is we click on this trash can, and we can bin the, we can reset the chord diagram like that. So let's say we want to make a B minor chord now. So we're just going to type in the name, and I'm going to want to start on the 2nd fret now. So I'm going to just click that up to 2, and you can see the 2nd fret appearing there. And for now I'll keep 3 frets because that's fine, and then I can enter in my chord diagram over here, and I'm just going to make those X's, and I'm going to put the fingering in below. That's 1, 2, 4, and 3. Now if you want, you can turn that into a bar chord, and there's 2 ways you can do that. We can show this as being a bar chord in the traditional way by just putting another dot here and putting the fingering underneath like that. That clearly shows you that should be a bar chord. But if you want, and this is a really quite a powerful and cool function of ChordPic, is that you can just click on this note here and drag it right down, and whoops, let's try that again, and there we have our bar chord. You can do partial bars as well. I'm just going to reset this. Let's say, for example, you wanted to indicate an A major chord. I'm going to start on the first fret again, and we just want people to know that it should be played with just one finger. You could do that if you like. Something like that could work. Make that an X and we're good to go. Now let's just play a bit with these slightly more advanced settings. What you can do is just click on the show more settings here, and quite a cool little function here is we can edit the style. We've been editing in normal style, but you can make it a hand-drawn style as well, and that changes it to this cool little hand-drawn looking chord diagram, which is quite nice if that's your thing. And I was going to select normal for now. And then we can adjust the height of the frets over here, and just use the slider. As you can see, the frets are becoming higher, wider maybe, and we can make those as thin as we want them to be. If at any point you feel you've messed the diagram up, you just go reset all settings, and that brings you back to what you had originally. And this nut size confused me for a while, but because I thought actually what this would do would be to adjust the nut, because that's what it says, nut size. But let's just, for example, make this A, the traditional A, like this. But what it does is that it increases or decreases the size of these dots, basically. So there we go. You can make the dots as small as you want or as massive as you want. It's up to you. So there you go. Again, reset all settings to get it back to the way it was. And then the last thing we could do is to increase the stroke width, which is basically just the appearance of the strings and the frets. I'm going to reset that, and that looks quite nice and clean. So something else you can control is the color of the chord diagram. Let's say, for example, we wanted to make this white, and as you can see, the chord has now disappeared. It hasn't disappeared, it's just that it's white on a white background. So what we want to do is select the background color, make it black for argument's sake, and there you can see a nice white chord on a black background, and that might look quite nice on like a video if you wanted to present it in that way. That could look pretty cool. You know, you can select whichever color you want for the background, and that'll come out like that. So that might be your thing, or it might not be, but that's an option. So I'm just going to make that background white again and make the chord diagram itself black. And there it is again. Okay, so let's just try one more chord diagram. We're just going to make a normal A major bar chord on the 5th fret. And so I'm just going to get my starting fret as being fret 5 there. I'm going to do a bar on the 5th fret all the way down, and I'm going to take that off, well, actually that can stay, and there we go. So that's going to be first finger, first finger, first finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger. And there we have our A major bar chord, and let me just take those extra 2 frets off. And then we have a nice looking A major bar chord. Now the next thing you should know about is just the downloads option here, and you have the option to download SVG, which is a scalable vector graphic. I like these. I just insert them straight into Word documents. So if I'm going to use something for a book or PDF, I'll choose the SVG option. I'll just show you a quick example of something I've done. Here, this is a PDF showing people how thirds in the key of A look on the fretboard, and I've used ChordPic to generate these 2 chord diagrams here. Another option is to download the PNGs, which is probably a more standard way to do things, and they've included small, medium, large, and huge PNG. I love that they've included this huge PNG here. But So PNG will work for something like video if you're making videos and you want to put chord diagrams in them. I've done that recently in one of my videos, just to show you how they look. I'm still getting used to how the program works, but there you can see that was generated with ChordPic, and it comes out looking pretty cool. Okay, so let's go back. Another way you could use these PNGs is if, for example, you're on a guitar forum and you're answering a question and you want to insert one of these chord diagrams into your answers. And I've done that before as well quite a few times. For example, on Quora, someone asked, is there an easy substitute for the F chord? And I just replied, yes, there is, introducing the F major 7, and there it is. So that was generated using ChordPic. I included a little link to ChordPic at the bottom of my answer. Then the last thing to know, of course, is that you can generate a sharing link. So if you're having a conversation with someone and you want to send them a link to a picture that you've done, so say for example you just want to say this is how you do an A major bar chord, you can share that on Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, WhatsApp, or by email. And I'm just going to copy this link so you can see when they click on that link what it'll look like. Let's just open that. And they'll see the A major chord diagram all ready to download with the different formats here.